Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Spectrum Report. The Spectrum Report is brought to you by Spectrum Research Group, the makers of NeuralBroc Cellular Cleanse. You can learn more about NeuralBroc by going to our website, neuralbalance.com, and clicking on the Products tab. And to keep up to date with news, helpful content, and sales and promos, like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And for tips and feedback from other parents and caregivers, search Neural Balance Support Group on Facebook and ask to join. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell to be notified when we upload new content. If you're a podcast kind of person, search the Spectrum Report on your favorite podcast app. Today's episode of the Spectrum Report is about environmental toxins and byproduct pollutants. We'll discuss this topic and two clinically proven ingredients that can help support the body's natural detoxification process with Adam Payne of UltraBotanica. One of our founding members, Dr. Batul Hatipoglu, is an endocrinologist at the Cleveland Clinic's main campus. She's a contributing writer to U.S. News and World Report. She wrote an article in 2015, and that addresses some of what we'll be talking about today. It's called From DDT to BPA, How Do Endocrine Disrupting Chemicals Affect Our Health? And why should we limit our exposure to these chemicals? In her article, she states, endocrine disrupting chemicals, substances or mixtures that alter the function of the endocrine system in an unhealthy way are found everywhere on our planet, exposing many living things, including people, to possible harm. These include a wide variety of chemicals such as pesticides, environmental pollutants, and compounds or components used in the plastic industry and in consumer products. Dr. Hatipoglu writes, as an endocrinologist, I consider the environmental factors that may affect our body, including EDCs, endocrine disrupting chemicals. These powerful small particles can interfere with many important physiological steps, like the production, transportation, and elimination of hormones. They can even mimic the natural hormones our body makes. And later in her article, she writes, some EDCs remain in the body for a very long time. In fact, animal studies have shown that their long-term effect can be seen through many generations, such as with certain pesticides like DDT. Environmental toxins are definitely a concern. Heavy metals, pollutants, things in our clothing. I was actually surprised at some of the things that I found that included environmental toxins and things that were actually bad for us. Another article from the Cleveland Clinic's website, written by Melissa Young, MD, she says, environmental toxins are all around us, from the food we eat, the water we drink, to the products and energy we consume. Toxins have been found in beauty products, household cleaners, carpets, furniture, mattresses, house dust, and even foods and products from natural sources. Being surrounded by chemicals on a daily basis can have some harmful effects on your health. However, there are steps you can take to avoid undue toxins, as well as make proper choices that can minimize your exposure to these toxins. This is something that I hear a lot about from some of the parents that I deal with through Spectrum Research Group. MTHFR gene mutation has a very difficult time. It inhibits the body's ability to eliminate these toxins. So this is definitely a big concern for MTHFR parents if you have a loved one or you have the MTHFR gene mutation. So that's kind of what we want to talk about today. We know that environmental toxins are there. We know that they can be very detrimental. So we want to know how we can avoid them and what we can do about them. So today's guest is Adam Payne, CEO of UltraBotanica. Adam is founder and co-inventor of the UltraCur technology that is part of our NeuralBroc Cellular Detox product. Adam has close to a decade of experience as a CEO of a biotech company. He was CEO and COO of Haas Bioceuticals from 2009 to 2015, where he led the development of the UltraCur product. Adam has successfully implemented 2 GMP sites in the last decade, and prior to his time at Haas, Adam was the CEO of Altheus Therapeutics. He is with us here today to offer his insights on today's topic. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have you here. We met several years ago at a natural products trade show, and it had a feeling then that we'd eventually be working together. And you actually helped us develop this product that we'll be talking about today. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. It's a real privilege to be able to share some of our insight on environmental toxins.
Reading through and doing some of the research for the show, it looks like it's just almost impossible to avoid these things. I mean, they're almost in everything. So what are some of the ways that we can try to avoid and eliminate what we can't avoid?
Well, I mean, just breathing in air is going to bring all sorts of unwanted gases into our body. And things that we put on our skin. Obviously, using natural products on our skin is a barrier to things being able to penetrate through the skin barrier, though the skin is pretty good at protecting us in that manner. But most of the environmental toxins that really affect the body negatively are things that we either ingest, that go through our digestive system, or things that we breathe in through the air. And, primarily, the things that we ingest can become the most problematic, and those EDCs are things that are typically not breathed in, though you can have outgassing of different plastics that are heated up, like melamine, for example. When you heat it up in the microwave, it'll release toxic gases that can then, if people are heating up food on melamine plates, it's actually a pretty bad recipe, right? And then there's the environmental toxins that come from smog and fossil fuels that have been burned, or forest fires, or even the pollution that's coming over the Pacific Ocean from China, and that's hitting our coastal cities, precipitating down in our atmospheres. When I was growing up, we used to talk about acid rain having an impact.
I remember that.
Right, and that's still an issue. We haven't been able to do much about that. And that's a fundamental shift in the acidity of rainwater, which should be at a neutral pH, but is now acidic because of all of the solubilized gases and elements that are being aerosolized through production facilities and other plants. So, I got into the natural product space kind of kicking and screaming. We developed, I was baptized into the biotech space in the pharmaceutical arena. We were developing, drugs for inflammatory bowel disease and things like that. And what it really gave me was a wonderful picture and a wonderful education on the inflammatory process in the body and how the body reacts to external stimuli. And when it looks at something that that's coming into the body, if the body sees it as something unfriendly, what is the body's response to those kinds of stimuli? And our primary response is an inflammatory response, right? And I've heard it from doctors like Dr. Parita and Dr. Shailesh Kaushal. These are key opinion leaders in the field of inflammatory diseases. They say that close to over 90% of human disease is because of an inflammatory response in the body.
Right. And we hear that a lot. I mean, even the parents that I talk to, the folks that use our product, inflammation is something that they're always trying to tackle. And one of Dr. Hadapoglu's theories, going back to some of the things that cause the imbalance in the endocannabinoid system that causes things like stress and disrupted sleep, has a root in an inflammation, systemic, but also an insult or injury to the immune system that causes a sudden inflammation that does some damage while it's in there. So inflammation is something that we're always trying to avoid. And that's why I think it's great that we put these two ingredients together. How did you originally learn specifically about truebroc? And tell us a little bit about what it does to help eliminate these toxins.
So truebroc is kind of the second cornerstone in some of the products that we've developed. Our primary ingredient is curcumin, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I'm sure most of your listeners have heard about turmeric and curcumin and how beneficial it is. truebroc is an ingredient that was developed out of the Johns Hopkins, out of decades of research and looking at how broccoli seed extract could improve the cellular function in the body. And what they learned was something very simple, is that cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, like cauliflower, like cabbage, have an ingredient in them called glucoraphanin that instigates or upregulates the body's own antioxidant production. And there's we learn through life that taking vitamin C, vitamin E, and other antioxidants are good for the body, but our bodies have its own antioxidant system. That antioxidant system is called the glutathione system. And glutathione is in every cell in our bodies. It's produced in the liver, and it's the molecule that's responsible for detoxifying our mitochondria when they're producing energy.
So we're not talking about a detox. Like a lot of times when people hear detox, they think about a drink or a handful of pills or a bunch of juice, and they're detoxing their digestive system. So we're talking about something much deeper, much more complex than that.
Right. We're talking about the body's fundamental mechanism for dealing with the primary toxins that the body produces. Now, when cells are stressed, their ability to deal with these free radical toxins that the body produces is compromised. And that causes further dysfunction in the cells. It causes further toxins to build up in the circulation. And the primary mechanism that these toxins have their effect is through free radical oxidation. So these oxidants are going around in the body, and they are attaching to different cellular structures, and they're breaking the cellular structures and compromising cell function. So having a functioning antioxidant system in our body, this glutathione system, is critical for life. In fact, most of us have heard about acetaminophen toxicity, right? We're all warned that don't overdose your children on acetaminophen. Acetaminophen toxicity is because it stops at higher doses. It stops glutathione.
Okay.
So when you inhibit the ability of the body to make glutathione, it's a life or death situation for people. And what they do now is that they'll inject exogenous glutathione or N-acetylcysteine into the body, which is a precursor to glutathione in the liver, in order to help the body to survive through this glutathione crisis. So it just goes to show you how critical this glutathione system is in the body. Broccoli seed extract, in specific truebroc, is one of the few ingredients that regulates this glutathione pathway in a scientifically proven fashion. Adults that are taking 115 milligrams twice a day of the truebroc material show a statistical upregulation of their glutathione production in their body.
And you're referring to the Johns Hopkins study on truebroc, correct?
Correct. And then they also looked at people living in toxic environments. I don't mean emotionally toxic, like environments with a lot of pollution.
Right.
Like Los Angeles and China. Excuse me. And what they found was that the level of free radical oxidative chemicals in their blood was much lower. in the people that were taking the truebroc formula than the people that weren't, demonstrating, albeit from a marker, that the truebroc material was actually having an impact on their body's ability to process toxic materials that they were breathing in from their environment.
And I think what we need to realize too is not just people who live in toxic environments are exposed to these byproduct pollutants and environmental toxins. Just may not be to that degree, but a lot of the things that we associate with happiness, like the smell of a new car or new clothes or things like that, we don't realize that those are harmful chemicals a lot of times, that were formaldehyde and insecticides and other things like that we're ingesting, we're smelling, our skin is our largest organ, and we're assaulting it with these chemicals and pesticides and all of that on a continual basis. So that stuff starts to build up in itself. So if we can't get that out, and I know in the cases like I mentioned, of the MTHFR gene mutation, they're not able to expel that. So they're already having other issues, and now they're not able to properly, on the cellular level, do that detox that we're talking about.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. For these people, especially with MTHFR dysfunction, truebroc and these kinds of supplements can be a life changer.
Well, and what I like is what made you pair it with the curcumin? I mean, I know we want to deal with inflammation, but that's one thing I was impressed with your ingredient when I first learned about it years ago, the UltraCur Curcumin, and I use it myself for the joint pain and stuff that I have. And if I do a trade show or I'm on my feet for several days, it takes its toll. You would think that standing there and talking to people, it's not a big deal, but it catches up with you. So I use it then. So I was actually surprised to hear that you were pairing it with truebroc, because I had been looking at the truebroc ingredient once I learned about the MTHFR gene mutation, and a lot of the folks that I deal with, this is a problem. They'll go months and months with toxins building up in their system, and then they'll be forced to do kind of a radical cleanse, and that sometimes has its own issues, makes you sick for days and that type of thing. So I was looking at truebroc. Right. So I was looking at truebroc anyway, thinking, how can we offer a gentle, daily, natural support where they won't have to do these radical, cleanses so often, and that we can, help their body deal with these toxins just on the daily basis, a more normal, natural support. So when I learned that you were pairing the truebroc with UltraCur, I said, well, I have to be able to put that together in a product that I can offer my folks, because I know it's going to be a great help. So explain what the curcumin, the UltraCur does, and then how they work so well together.
Well, UltraCur is a technology that I developed. It's patent pending. We're pairing a protein. In this case, we're pairing a really pure organic brown rice protein, and with curcumin. We're using the brown rice protein essentially as a scaffold on which the curcumin sits. So regular curcumin is insoluble. If you take the curcumin molecule or the curcumin extract, it's a bunch of different curcumins stuck to each other in a crystal. And that crystal is pretty much insoluble in the body. What we learned is that the curcumin would bind to protein before it would aggregate on itself. And so we thought, let's use the protein as a transport of the curcuminoids in the body in order to facilitate the absorption. And what we experienced very quickly when we tried this formula 6 years ago, is that we felt it in our heads. We got what we called the curcumin buzz. There's no other way to talk about it. It was like this little lightheaded buzziness that went on, and we were like, what are we feeling? And suddenly it hit us. Not only was it absorbing into our bodies really quickly, but it was also getting into our brain. And that's the only way that we could feel it that way. And it was a profound effect. So we started to manufacture this material, and we found that people that were having really significant inflammation issues in their bodies, that inflammation was coming back into healthy balance very quickly. Obviously, we can't talk about the curative aspects of this. We're not selling it as a drug. We're selling it in order to support
Right.
healthy inflammation in the body.
Right.
The pairing of the UltraCur technology to broccoli seed extract was a natural pairing. I think Reed Eckert is a friend of the show here.
Yes.
And Reed suggested to us the combination of a broccoli seed extract and curcumin. Curcumin, as it turns out, also upregulates the NRF2 pathway. So we have NRF2 being upregulated from the curcumin side, and we have NRF2 being upregulated from the broccoli seed extract side, resulting in a synergistic effect in detoxification in the body.
Right. Right where they need it the most.
Right where they need it the most. So people, especially, and we see people that are that have brain fog and that are dealing with depression and other kinds of diseases, seeing significant benefit from using our product, especially the broccoli seed combination.
Right. And that was what really intrigued me about your curcumin, because it was, the uptake was so quick, but the longevity also was there. And, you know, when we first met, I was actually developing a joint health supplement at the time, and that was my interest in it. And then I got on this project with Neural Balance and helping Spectrum Research Group, and became a part of that and went in a different direction. And it was a few months later, I think it might have been Reed, that introduced me to the benefits. And there were studies done on your product and curcumin and turmeric and other things like that for brain function and kids with autism, different things. So I thought, well, you know, that might be something that would help my folks too, because again, you know, we're working to help those pathways fire correctly to balance the endocannabinoid system, so the neurotransmitters are nice and balanced. You know, same thing. We're not looking to cure. We can't cure or eliminate these disorders, but you can certainly offer natural ingredients that will give the body a good support so that it can do what it should naturally do. And that's really what we're looking for. Normal levels of inflammation, your body's natural ability to detox itself. These are all important things. And if you have these, it seems like if you have one, it creates the other. You know, if you're not detoxing properly, then you have inflammation issues. If you have these inflammation issues, it may stand in the way of proper detoxification. So we want to get in there and clean it out and work on that systemic inflammation.
I think, you know, today's world is more full of environmental toxins than we've ever had in history. We're dealing with such exotic chemicals that are coming out of our plastics industry, out of the petrochemical industry, out of, you know, the exotic metals that are in our cell phones, that are, you know, things that were electromagnetic radiation, and just the environmental toxins that have built up over the decades.
Right.
You know, why are we surprised that we're having, you know, this resurgences of different central nervous system diseases and autoimmune diseases that we've never before seen in history? Our bodies weren't built to deal with this level of environmental garbage, literally.
Right.
So, you know, we encourage people, you know, don't just take our word for it. Gabriel, we love people to try our products. We call our curcumin, UltraCur, the curcumin you can feel. We stopped trying to sell our products based upon bioavailability, because everybody's talking about bioavailability. No one's talking about actually feeling a difference. Our product, most people, 70% of people that try our product have a significant benefit within a week, and half of those people within 24 hours.
I was going to say, I think the first time I took it, I felt a difference in maybe 45 minutes, 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was at the end of the day at a trade show. I was hurting. So I think I took a double dose. to get it in the system quick. Drank a full, a full bottle of water to really hydrate. But yeah, I felt the difference right away, and that's why I knew. This is why we put this product together. It's called NeuralBroc Cellular. And our little tagline is the future of phase 2 detox is here, because we want people to understand it's a different level of detox. It's not you're not drinking something and going to the bathroom for the next day and a half. You're not living on salt water and juice or whatever crazy thing the kids are doing these days. You don't have It's not that type of thing. It's a simple thing. They're small capsules. You just take a couple a day, and it varies according to the age. And then you have a therapeutic dose and a maintenance dose. So that's all right there on the label. But it's a great combination. The truebroc and then your UltraCur Curcumin. It's a great combination to just get in there, detox the cells, especially if MTHFR gene mutation is an issue. But really now everybody in my household's taking it at least once a day. In the morning when we remember, it's a little better, because these are things that we're all ingesting all the time, just by living in today's world. And you're right, there's plastics every day they come out with something new that they figured out how to synthesize something. So we don't have to use this natural stuff anymore. Now you can use plastic wood and plastic this, and it's there's no end to it. So it's something that we're constantly putting in our system. It's something that's really bad for us, and these environmental toxins and byproduct pollutants, I don't see it going away. I mean, we have to figure out a way to limit our exposure to it as much as we can, but we also have to figure out a way to support our body's natural process to just get rid of it. So what now, we also, you and I have something else in the works that I know people are going to be excited about. I just want to tease a little bit, because we'll do a future show about this probably in the next couple of months. But you have a great ultra hemp product, which is a broad spectrum hemp. It's not just a CBD, although that's part of it. And tell us a little bit about why broad spectrum is better than just the CBD alone.
Well, a lot of companies were extracting just as a CBD isolate for a long time. And still many companies do that. In fact, Charlotte's Web is primarily a CBD isolate product. CBD isolate has its place in the natural pharmacopoeia. It's definitely a very powerful CB2 receptor agonist. But it doesn't have all of the other cannabinoids, and more importantly, it doesn't have all of the terpenes in it. We've been working with researchers here at the University of Oklahoma. In fact, a recently retired researcher, a guy named H.K. Lin. Dr. Lin was a lead researcher with Young's Living Oil, Gary Young's company, while Gary was alive, traveling with him and giving talks about essential oils. And Dr. Lin essentially got us excited about not just the cannabinoid extracts that are present within the hemp plant, but also the terpenes. These are the aromatic compounds that are present within the hemp plant. And he believes, and he's seen scientifically, that the terpenes are responsible for a huge variety of different impacts on human health, on cancer, inflammation, the cannabinoid system in general. But we've moved to, when we got excited about that, we partnered with a company that manufactures extraction equipment that extracts at a very cold temperature. So a lot of the people that are extracting the hemp material are doing a warm extraction, and then they're isolating it down to the CBD material. We're extracting everything at minus 35 degrees. So at that temperature, all of the chlorophylls, which we don't want in the material, all of the waxes and lipids, which we don't want in the material, remain behind in the plant mass. And what comes out of the cells are the essential oils, the cannabinoids, plus all of the aromatic terpenes are retained. And the result of this extraction process is a broad spectrum. Actually, we call it a full spectrum extract because it contains up to 0.3% THC, or the delta 9 or the delta 8 THC, at levels that are never going to be psychoactive. So what we have is a full embodiment of all of the different aspects of the hemp plant without the chlorophylls and the waxes, which don't have any health benefit beyond maybe hydrating your skin,
Right.
and turning you green if you ingest a lot of it. But it has all of the different cannabinoids in there, plus the terpenes, which results in what a lot of people have been talking about in what we call an entourage effect. So the entourage effect comes from when you have the CBG, the CBN, the CBD, the THC, the cannabinoids, and all of the terpenes together. There seems to be a much better benefit for pain and for activating the cannabinoid system than just having an isolate of the CBD molecule.
That makes sense. Well, I always say I mean, I believe in CBDs. I mean, I think the evidence is there for sure, but I always thought, the plant is complex and God put every little thing there for a good reason. And it always seemed kind of a shame to just isolate one part of it. So I like that we're getting as much as we can out of it without the psychoactive part, so we don't have those concerns, especially with kids and that
Yeah, obviously.
type of thing. And that's something that we're looking at pairing with our patented blend, anandinol. So I can just imagine with our blend, the 3 types of passion flower, CoQ10, magnesium, B6, in conjunction with your full spectrum hemp. It's a crystal, right? So
It's a powder.
Which so it'll be
we get it down to we take the oils and we do a very sophisticated process to bring it down to a powdered material, and it still retains all of the terpenes and all of the other active ingredients. So we'll be able to put it into a capsule.
That's great.
How does the anandinol taste? Have you? Does
it has kind of a little grassy, woody flavor by itself, but it's pretty mild. You can, like with our capsules for the Neural Balance product, you can take 2 capsules and hide it in a half a cup of apple juice. It really doesn't have a strong taste. So that's why we're able to make the drink powder out of it as well as the capsules. So I think we'll be fine. We'll probably start with capsules and then move to maybe a drink after that gets going. So we'll do a whole show about that. So we just wanted to let people know we were working on that. So we'll do a show about that once it comes out, and we'll talk next week more about getting that all put together. I really appreciate you being here today, letting us know what truebroc does and how that helps with the cellular cleanse, the detox, and your UltraCur Curcumin. I can't say enough good things about that. So I think it's great that we put this together in this single product, NeuralBroc, and it's available on our website. So you guys can check that out. We'll have links and everything in the description of the show. There are links to all the different places that we talked about, the group and all of that stuff. So Adam, I appreciate you coming today. I appreciate your patience. We had to reschedule from last week. We had some technical difficulties. Facebook was out, and you should have seen the people were freaking out. We would have thought,
really?
We thought it was the end of the world. There was a big outage, and it made the news, front page national news. So I don't know, that people discovered that Facebook is blue, but so is the sky. So maybe it was a good thing, right? So, well, Adam, thank you for being here. I always appreciate it. And we'll be talking to you next week.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to or watching this episode of the Spectrum Report. I hope we were able to offer some useful information for you. If we did, please share this content with your friends and in your groups. The Spectrum Report is brought to you by Spectrum Research Group, the makers of Neural Balance with Anandinol and NeuralBroc Cellular Cleanse. You can learn more about all of our products by going to our website, neuralbalance.com, and clicking on the Products tab. And to keep up to date with news, helpful content, and sales and promos, like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and for tips and feedback from other parents and caregivers, search Neural Balance Support Group on Facebook and ask to join. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to be notified when we upload new content. If you're a podcast kind of person, search the Spectrum Report on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for joining us today, and remember, for best results, watch or listen, share, and subscribe.
Hey everyone, my name is Brittany, and I am the mommy to two beautiful little boys. My oldest, Kanan, is nonverbal. We started Neural Balance about a month ago, and we did kind of go through the storm before the calm. But after that faded, he has made huge improvements. He has said mama and bubba and 1, 2, 3, and even his ABA therapist noticed a huge difference in Kanan. He is sleeping a little better, he's more attentive, and we would definitely recommend it. Thank you guys so much for all that you do, and thank you for Neural Balance.